Everybody, you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. I'm your host, Andrew Davis, and this is brought to you by my sponsors, Mixum Printing, the smarter way to print. I know printing your creative project can be confusing and stressful, but Mixum is here to make it easy. From their instant code calculator that lets you get as many quotes as you want for free to their 24-hour customer service support, Mixum is here to make sure your printing experience runs smoothly from start to finish. And right now, you can choose from a range of premium printing options and materials. And the company has also printed so many successful Kickstarter campaigns, a bunch of them you've even heard about on this very show. And they currently offer services in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK. And Mixum can print and reach your audience anywhere in the world. So if you're ready to print smarter, not harder, head over to Mixum.com. And right now they are running a promotion where listeners of this show can drop my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of a current order to get a 5% discount on their first order. So that is mixam.com. Again, type my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of your current order to receive a 5% discount on your first order. Also, I am brought to you by my friends over at Outlaw Comics. They got a great comic called Unidentified, which is about a stuck in wrong time cowboy who has no memory of who he is. And Unidentified, number one, is the story of that cowboy forced into a situation where he must protect a pregnant young woman from a town of werewolves who want to take her baby, and with nothing more than pure rage and weapons provided by a mysterious woman, John will slaughter his way through the town if that's what it takes to get this young lady to safety. So back Unidentified number one, currently on Kickstarter today, and that company is actually doing something very cool where they are donating to a veteran charity for all the sales they do this year, I believe 10%. So obviously they got a great book and a great cause that goes along with their book. So go check that out. It's in the link up above. And without further ado, I have with me Tyler Carpenter, and we're about to have a silly goose time. So welcome back to the show.
Thanks, man. Dude, is that, if I say it said Andrew Davis is for 85% on Mixum?
It's 5% off. I wish it was
Okay,
85.
I heard 85 and I was like, holy crap. Like, what am I doing?
I
Like,
wish. If I was big enough, I could get it all.
I don't know any brand deal, though, that's 85%. That's why I was shocked. I was like,
It's 5%. It's 5% before anybody.
Okay, I went on their website like, I'm printing something right now just so that I can get 85%. No, that's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Not 85%. I'm just saying. but welcome back to the show.
Thanks, dude.
Clearly.
Thanks, dude. I'm trying to remember the last time I was here and what we talked about.
We spoke about everything the last time. Because the last time, because you currently have Girl with the Mega Fists, and that just started to come out. I think you had 2 or 3 chapters out on Patreon. And obviously, you are now on Kickstarter, bringing that book into the Kickstarter verse and into that entire market. And your book is fully funded. And so, what is that book about? Because I've read parts of it on Patreon, and I know a bunch of people have heard about it in your audience, but there's also a bunch of people who are watching this and are going to see this who don't know what that comic is about.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, the girl with the mega fist is the story of a girl with the mega fist now, and she's got big boobs, and she has a silly goose time. No, that's not. Well, it's kind of what the book is about. No, the girl. It's what every book is. It's what every book is about. No, the girl with the mega fist is. I call it it's an epic story. I call it an epic story because it's epic in the sense of it's going to be long. I have 14 volumes planned, and we're kickstarting volume 1, and it's a story about a girl named Eliana, and she's been chosen by the Mega Gods to wield these gauntlets called the Mega Fists. And throughout her story, she's going to be fighting against love and destiny while training to become the ultimate hero and protect Earth. One thing I need to do better at with my marketing is that this is a superhero story. Eliana is training to be a superhero currently, and at some point in the story, she will go down to Earth and she will protect Earth from various foes and whatnot. But besides that aspect of the story, there's also like this kind of like love triangle where she has to choose between 2 twin brothers and she has to bring one of them down to earth with her. And is she going to bring the one who can help her protect Earth and fight alongside her the best, or is she going to bring the one that she's most in love with, who has her heart? And so that's why, she's fighting against love and destiny, where there's so much responsibility on her to be this hero that she was destined to be, while at the same time she just wants to follow her heart and be who she wants to be, and she's constantly fighting with that conflict throughout the story.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the story, but I'm actually very curious where this idea came from, because obviously it is not a traditional superhero story. And it's
No.
got a love triangle in there. It obviously has real consequences. And there is a problem on Earth going on. And it's also sort of the training to that problem as well, which, we don't usually see with superheroes. We don't see what makes them. And so where did this idea really come from for this story? And also, just to add another twist, it is more of a manga style as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's like if people say like, is it a manga? No, it's not, because it doesn't read like left to right. But if you want to call it a manga, we'll call it like a Western styled manga,
Or
where
American manga.
yeah, American manga. It reads left to right. I think manga is more than just like an art style, and I really feel that I tried to get as much of the story kind of structure of a manga into The Girl with the Mega Fist. So like for example, this isn't just typically what you'll see from either indie creators or even the big two is you'll just introduce a superhero and boom, they're a superhero. And here we go. I mean, we have Batman, and we know that he trained for several years before he took up the mantle with these various people, but there's really no, I think they're doing it right now. Actually, there is an ongoing series where you get to see Batman in his training arc, but gosh, the character's been around for like probably 80 years. And now we're just getting those stories. And so it was really important for me to, when I created The Girl with the Mega Fist, to go, okay, I want to see her kind of like in this training moment. And to be fair, she's been training, at the time of volume 1, she's 18 years old. She's been training for the last 18 years that we don't see. So that is, one thing. I did do a little time skip of 18 years because I didn't want to, see her when she's 6 or 7. I just thought that was boring. But she is 18 years old, and she has it's basically, we're seeing the last 2 years of her training in these first couple volumes, learning various powers, learning, various ways to use the Megafist. And as well, the two twin brothers that are also the main characters, Dante and Angeal, they're also learning how to use their powers and how to utilize them and whatnot. And we're seeing these characters, grow. The readers are seeing them grow.
Yeah, and let's even dive into that, because obviously, you have sort of what I call sort of two stories going on, where clearly there's an issue on Earth, and there is a whole cycle of these guardians and these superheroes who are supposed to go down, where it's almost like every 30 years a new pair is chosen, and they have X amount of time to train, and then they have a certain time down on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then this time, usually it's a boy and a girl are born together, and it's 1 and 1, and there's never a conflict. And now there is a conflict because you had two twin brothers in there, and that creates a whole bigger conflict where the girl has to choose which one she wants. But they're all training together, and they're all forming bonds. And so what was this like? Because this is going to end poorly for one of the guys.
Yeah, it is gonna. It's not actually. What's funny is it's not gonna end just poorly for one of the guys. It's gonna end poorly for every single person. And I always knew that. I didn't always knew, but when I created this conflict of like this kind of quote unquote love triangle, a lot of the Patreon members, they asked, well, why is there this conflict between why can't both the boys just go down to Earth? And I was like, oh, there's like a reason. There's a reason why all of this is happening. And really only until like last week did I figure out the reason. I knew there was a reason, but I hated all the reasons I had made, and I finally found the actual reason, which, we'll discover in future volumes. But I don't know. I just felt like it was important to have this, you have the A story, which is, hero fights bad guy, saves the world. That's the A story, the main story that everyone focuses on. and then you're gonna then I wanted like this B story, this one that's happening in the background where, you know, oh, she's getting cozy with this brother. Oh, she's probably gonna pick him. Oh, but she's getting kind of cozy with this brother right now. And then we can explore the story. Then we can, like, right now, the chapter I'm drawing right now for volume 2, it's the two brothers. We're focusing on the two brothers in these next couple chapters. And they're kind of like, what do you think of this? Do you want her to choose you, or do you want her to choose me? And now we're getting story. We're telling their story, their side of the story, and we're seeing, you know, what they think of this whole debacle that they're in. But as well, it also gives us moments to hit up Eliana's father, who then is able to be like, this is who I think you should choose. And so just from having this B story of like, who should she choose, we now get to introduce so many different points of views from various characters that I think for me, it really develops the story into something bigger and deeper than just superhero fights bad guy.
Yeah, and it also creates a very interesting circumstance because one of the brothers obviously has a deeper emotional connection with Eliana, and the other brother is stronger and is the stronger of the two. And that creates a very interesting situation because Eliana knows that she's going to be going down there and fighting. And most likely, and I'm just throwing this out there, you know, obviously, if you put a boy and a girl together and you pair them off, there is obviously, you know, reproducing elements to it. There's relationship elements to it. And if you're down on earth for a while, you know, there's a whole concept of that, as well as finding a mate being in there. And it's the idea that, well, who do you want to be next to in a foxhole and who do you trust more? And that creates a whole bigger thing. And meanwhile, at this point as well, they're all training and working extremely well in a cohesive unit at the same time, which is only going to make when she chooses one of the brothers, and I'm presuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's going to choose one of the brothers, right? I mean,
yes. At the end of volume 3, she will choose one of the brothers.
I have to ask the question because she just might say, "Screw this."
No, for sure. So like, volume 1 is definitely like it's. I'm gonna go. Volume 1 is definitely training from Eliana's point of view. Volume 2 is gonna be very much through the brother's point of view. Then we're gonna do a short time skip into volume 3, and then at the end of volume 3, Eliana, like the last page will be, I choose this person. And then volume 4 is the repercussions of who she's chosen, and then they have the ceremony, this ceremony, basically like it's like graduation from, you know, training and being sanctuary, and then going down into Earth. And at the last page of volume 4, they're down on Earth, and then the rest of the story, they're now on Earth, Eliana and whoever she's chosen.
Because this creates a very interesting circumstance because obviously anybody who's read comics, you've seen relationships between Batman and Wonder Woman, and that's been played out. You've seen relationships with Wonder Woman and Superman, and you've seen relationships with Batman and Catwoman. And so it's very interesting when you deal with superhero relationships and then even those choices and how they all play out and even the consequences of going down those paths. And you're touching upon something that is super, super interesting with this. And even just how does that affect what happens down on Earth, and how does that even affect what happens up above, and to the brothers' relationship, to Eliana's relationship with them, and so on and so forth. And it really opens up, and even her relationship to her father to some degree is also in play.
Oh yeah, exactly. And like, you know, and I tried to make it really obvious on which brother was which. I mean, at the very first couple chapters, you see one of the brothers do really well in battle. And then there's a second battle, and the second brother gets clapped in like 2 seconds. Like he's like, I'll protect you. Boom, knocked out like immediately. And so I really tried to showcase to readers, like, there is a difference between these two brothers. There really is a choice of choosing your heart or choosing one that's more powerful. But not just that, is each of these brothers has different reasons on maybe why they want to be chosen. Maybe one of them doesn't want to be chosen. Maybe they don't care. And not just that is, throughout all these thousands of years that these characters have, male and female, male, female, male, female. Now it's two boys and one girl. Now it's there's all these questions of why if you're constantly set in motion of, oh, this is the way we do it, and now something different's happened. Now it's okay, now why are we doing it like this? And so each of the characters, like even in Eliana states at one point, she goes like, maybe I don't want to do this, like maybe I just don't want to do this job anymore. And that's another thing that we're exploring, is this kind of reluctant hero, because she has responsibility from everyone and she doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah, and it even explores sort of, the idea of who wants to be a hero, why do you want to be a hero? And Eliana doesn't have a choice in this circumstance. You know the Hunger Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty clear that in the second book, Katniss doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because district, I forget the district they're in, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure somebody who in comments or when they see it elsewhere who knows the district Katniss was in, but she's the only girl, and she has to compete again. And so, and also it's the idea that where they're at, I don't know what their world is exactly called, but it's pretty damn good where they're at. And so, it's the idea that maybe you don't want to go down onto Earth, which is a hellhole in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
and then have to spend 20 years to fix those problems. And I don't know if you can come back up in between solving every problem on Earth.
And not just that, is it's there. I mean, at one point, Eliana asked this question, like, I'm going down to Earth to protect a bunch of people I don't even know. Like, who are these people? Like, do they even deserve to be protected? Like, maybe they all suck. They're like, man, why am I protecting Putin? This guy sucks. Like maybe that's what happens. She's like, I have no idea who any of these people are, and yet I've been training my whole life to protect them.
Yeah, and it raises questions. And then also, another thing that since there was two boys born, and you also mentioned the fact that it's breaking norm, why do a boy and a girl have to go down there? Why can't it be two brothers who go down there? Why can't it be two girls who go down there at another point? And that raises a bunch of other questions, and even the entire system of why, which I think you're going to be getting to in this entire thing. And I don't want to ruin too much because obviously this is the first volume, but it really is fascinating. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you're taking a very different approach, where you're taking a slow burn approach to it.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Is a slow burn, where it's not like this issue we're fighting this person, and this issue we're fighting, um, this person. I like in volume one we had like kind of an enemy that we focused on. In volume two, we have a little bit more of like okay, this is the bad guy, stop him. Volume three, we have no bad guy. In volume three, we have no bad guy. And then volume four, we have a bad guy. So like, it is a slow burn where, like, to me, the important aspects of the story is, if I had to put a category to this, I wouldn't even put like an action. I'd be like, this is a drama. This is a drama. It's kind of almost like a soap opera. I want these characters to. I want you to root for some characters. I want you to hate some characters, but not just hate them. I want you to like realize why they're doing it. Like Eliana's father, he sucks. Like he's not a nice person. And there's a moment in the book in volume one, where he's crying, and you kind of realize, oh, he's this way for a reason. And maybe he isn't that bad of a guy at all, but you can't get that without we don't do that through the action. We do that through storytelling, through conversation, through dialogue. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have a crap ton of action in this book, but a lot of it is just drama, 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 drama.
Yeah, and let's even talk about this, because I think, and feel free to disagree with me, but you have taken a different approach on how this book was published, where you have gotten a lot of this done through Patreon in a lot of ways, and it's been an every 2 week book. and in, chapters every 2 weeks. And that allows for a different reading experience. It also allows for more monetization to occur, and it allows for a different story to be told. Where if you had to do this all in one shot, or had to, publish, more in a 28 page or 32 page, people might not be so receptive to the idea of it being done in a floppy. And so I think what prompted you to go down the Patreon route, which I think makes this story work in a lot of ways. And now the whole thing in the first volume is coming out on Kickstarter.
I really wanted to, like, I'd been making graphic novels and floppy comics for so long, and I just hated the idea that, like, I would have to, for some reason I kept putting myself in this mindset that there were rules that, like a floppy comic needs to be 24 to 32 pages and graphic novel 60 to 100 pages. And if I do a chapter of comics, it's 20 pages. And I just was like constricting myself so much. And so there were like, moments in all my previous stories where I was like, oh, like I need an extra 2 pages, but is it really that important? So I cut it. Whereas, and that was all just me. Like, no one was telling me that I had to do that, but that's how I felt. So when I did The Girl with the Megafists, I decided every chapter I'm just gonna draw until I feel like it's done, and but I want every chapter to be at least a minimum of 12 pages. And so some pages are 10, some pages are 12, some pages are 14, and I just kept drawing them until I was like, okay, this is good. So I treated it more like a bi-monthly webcomic where every 2 weeks you got a chapter, and then it would be to be continued, and then the next week you get another chapter, and then the next 2 weeks you get another chapter. And I treated it more like I don't know, like in manga they do that. In Shonen Jump, it comes out every week, and then they put it into Tonkabon, a graphic novel essentially. But they also do that with like TV, where every single week you get an hour episode, then you wait the next week. And so I kind of treated it like that, where this week, this is the story that we're telling, and it might have a beginning and a middle, but it might not have the end, and you have to get to the next chapter to get the end.
To even talk about that, because obviously Patreon has sort of allowed that, where you could obviously do that on Webtoons.
Yeah.
Patreon has allowed the monetization of that, which then helps to actually, money is a motivator, regardless of what people say. And somebody says, I'm not in for the money. Money's a motivation for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, money, though, does make things happen, because you need supplies to do things. You need tools, you got to support websites or tablets or whatnot, and money helps to get that thing done as well. And it's also a distribution center, Patreon. And what is that like? Because you're now not just producing something, you're also monetizing it, and you're also having to sort of pay it forward and making it work and building out a whole library and a brand. And I also think that this lends itself to the story, because you could have that slow burn effect where you're giving 12 to 14 pages on average every week or every 2 weeks. And so people could say, okay, I get it, where I'm getting 28 pages over a month. And then, I could take my time and enjoying this. And so, because I think that if you were to have to release a 28 pager, somebody might be like, oh man, I got to wait forever for this to come out. And then you're going to run a Kickstarter 6 months later, which is sort of how everybody does it in a lot of ways. Maybe somebody does a Kickstarter every 4 months.
But it's true. A lot of people, they get their 24 pages, and then they do a Kickstarter, and then you wait the next 3 months for them to print it, and then you wait another month for it to get shipped out. And yeah, that stuff drove me crazy, because it's like, man, I produce comics. Like, I don't just make comics, I produce comics. I can draw 12 pages every 2 weeks. Not a lot of other creators can do that. And so I basically kind of just said with the Patreon, hey everyone, listen, I'm making this new book, The Girl with the Mega Fist. I'm gonna put out chapters every 2 weeks on here, and you can either subscribe for the $2 tier or the $5 tier. If you subscribe for the $5 tier, once we're finished with the volume, I'll mail you out a copy. If you stuck around that time. But if not, you can be at the $2 tier and you can read it as we go. If you want to wait till the Kickstarter, that's fine, but you're gonna have to wait volume to volume. But if you want to see this every 2 weeks, come over here to Patreon and read it, because no matter what, I'm going to be making this. So if you want to read it, you can read it, but I'm making this no matter what, and I'm posting it on Patreon no matter what first. So like and I had people like say like, oh, that's such a terrible idea. But I was like, this is a win-win for me, because the win is I'm already going to be drawing the book. So why not put the chapters behind a paywall? And if people actually want to subscribe, then now I get to make money during the production. So now my Kickstarter, like when you look at a lot of people's Kickstarters, what you don't see is all the expenses. You can look at my Kickstarter now and know that that number, besides the fact that I have to use for printing and then shipping, everything else has been paid for. My variant covers have been paid for. The boxes and the tape and all that crap has all been paid for. Even some of the printing has already been paid for through the Patreon. So it was such a win-win for me to be able to now take it over to Kickstarter and then be able to pay for this. But what's even better is I'm doing Indiegogo afterwards. And now everything on Indiegogo, besides the platform fee, is straight profit, because the Kickstarter, I'll print if I only have to print off 100 books, but I know I'll sell 100 on Indiegogo, I'm just gonna print 250, and now it's covered. And now when you look at my Indiegogo number, no, that's all going into my bank.
See that's funny, because eventually, probably in March, I'm going to run my entire exact same thing that I did on Kickstarter for funding my podcast on Indiegogo. And legitly, it's straight money. And my entire costs, because 85% of what I do is all digital. So it does not come at any cost to me. And so when you look at everything, even before I started the Kickstarter, I was good till August. Everything from the Kickstarter goes right back into the business. And then everything from the Indiegogo is going to go sort of straight into my bank to some degree as well. And it's all digital. All the physical rewards from my Kickstarter are legitimately paid straight off that are going to be on my Indiegogo. And it's brilliant, and it's amazing when you can figure out how to pay for all your stuff ahead of time.
Yes.
That kind of leads me into what I want to talk about, because you're one of the creators, and we were speaking about this before we went live, about different monetization tracks, where for me, I have monetization track A, which is bigger corporate sponsors, or if any indie comic creator or anybody who has an indie product or a regular product wants to pay me for ad spots, you're more than welcome to do that. And that's sort of monetization track A for me. And monetization track B is Kickstarters and Indiegogos. And then obviously I do podcast consulting, or in live stream consulting, and a variety of other consulting that sort of comes out of this and spins off of this. That's sort of monetization track C, because it's closely related. And so, but you figured out how to have multiple monetization tracks. And so obviously Patreon, Kickstarter, and then you got a few other things in the works as well.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air, where it's like every creator who is obviously, at first you do need to start off with like focusing on your comic if you're going to make comics. But if you get to a certain point where you're only relying on that comic book cash, it gets very scary. And so, it's like you said. So I have my Kickstarters and Indiegogos. That's a place to get that's a place to monetize. I then have my aftermarket for the books, whether it's my website or I throw it up on Amazon or other places. That's just the book. So that's just the book. Now let's take all that out. And so I was telling you, like, the money that I get from these campaigns, I put a set aside stuff for the next volume. I set aside this other stuff for the Patreon, but Patreon is another pool of monetization. But then I use the rest of the money and I go, okay, what stocks can I put in so I can get some dividends? What crypto can I use that will stake it for me? Or just what's some good crypto play that I feel like I want to get into? Then I put money into either like, okay, we're gonna sell X amount next Kickstarter, might as well start buying some boxes, or going, sorry, I was talking about buying stuff. Another pool of monetization is my YouTube channel. Right now, I make around $120 every month and a half on YouTube. Can I get that to a point where it becomes $500 a month? And then at that point, so I have a goal by the end of the year to have $500 a month on Patreon. Then if I can get $500 a month on YouTube, well, now we're at $1,000. We're not yet at my mortgage. We're not at my mortgage yet, but we're getting close. But you see, if you can keep making these pools of income, now you don't have to worry about just relying on the comic book art. Now you can rely on other stuff. In fact, you know what I would love? I would love to have all my stocks, my crypto, and everything else funding my life, and then all the comic book stuff is extra. Because at least I know those are more secure.
See, this is something that I think a lot of creators don't know. And again, this isn't financial advice, and I'm just going to say that. But one of the things...
This is financial advice. Throw all your money right now into Dogecoin and XRP, and wait till Elon Musk says something. That's financial. No, please don't do anything that I just said.
I am not a financial advisor yet. That's a goal in the next 18 months. I really just want the license so I can put it in my title. I like letters in my title. But that's not the point here. One of the things that I feel like a lot of creators don't understand is how to take a distribution out of your business. And whatever you do with your distribution is up to you. I personally don't care if you invested or not, or whatever you do, or you just want to say, I want to have a good time, go on vacation. That's fine. But understanding how to take distributions out. I figured out where obviously I sell a lot of comics on eBay, and I know how to take a distribution out of my eBay business. I know how to take a distribution where my podcast, we are legitly in round 2 of sponsorships. So I am very new and understanding I'm making sure the business is healthy enough in the podcast realm for me to start taking money out of it. I'm not at that stage yet because I just want to have actually 2 years of game time and funds for the next 2 years, which I think makes a lot of sense. But once I reach that stage, I'm going to figure out how much money I could take out from this business, because that's the key. And then utilizing that and then deploying that to go make more money. Because I hate to say this to everybody and I get shit for it, but comics are a temporary job. They are not a permanent job, and it can go where you could be working there for 40 years, or it's all good. You could be working in comics for 40 years, or you could have year 5 could be the best year ever, and then year 6 could be a disaster, and then year 7 can be great again. And so that's why you need to diversify and understand how to take distributions and make sure you can weather a storm. And that's what I do. And obviously I know that you, I think, have like a t-shirt shop. I have a t-shirt shop that is completely passive and a variety of other things. And that's what I think people don't understand, is that you figured out how to do a lot of passive things that you may not even be promoting, but they just exist.
Well, also I have this thing as well. It's massive. Like I'll tell everyone right now, this thing, like it pays everything I do, like every day. It's something that everyone has access to. I have a day job. No, I have a day job, and so like,
I thought you were gonna say something super illegal.
I know. Yes, I sell cocaine. Like that. If you want money in comics, like you gotta sell cocaine, and I use the pages to roll up my marijuana. No, no, I have a. Like that's the thing. Is like I have a day job, and so for me, like if I was doing just this, I would be smoking weed every day, because I would be freaking out, because I have a wife and a kid who's crying upstairs, and I have another kid on the way. So my day job is to, you know, protect my family, but the comics right now and everything else I'm doing is all extra. And because I have kind of like that security of having a day job, I'm able to create more free. I'm able to create risk free, where I go, oh, do I need to make X amount on this Kickstarter, otherwise I'm going to fail. Oh, I need to make X. And so, um, you know, like once we get the Kickstarter funds and then we buy everything, and then the Indiegogo is just straight profit. That profit, you know, I'm sure I'll throw some of it into my savings account, but the majority of it's just going to go into the next campaign. And I'm hopefully going to get to a point where by hopefully the fourth campaign, I'm hoping to be able to go to have like big profit. As I continue to invest in the campaign. But as well, you know, maybe I'll just throw everything in Dogecoin or Shibu. Maybe I'll throw everything in Shibu and I'll wait till Elon says something. I don't know.
So let's see if we talk about this a little bit, because this is one of the things, and I just had Tom Rash on, and we were speaking of this very thing where it's the idea that being a full-time creator is a very difficult thing to do. And even with people who do work and are full-time writers, a lot of them either teach at universities, or they write novels on the side, or that they have other jobs, or they have other jobs, or they have a spouse that brings in a certain amount of income. And I've heard this story with a lot of writers where a lot of times, you know, one of the spouses is, you know, the breadwinner, but the other spouse, who's the writer or an artist, they get a big payday sometimes of $20,000, and that's what pays off the car. You know, that's what makes a sizable dent in the mortgage, for instance. And they might pay every 3 years 14 mortgage payments and get you jumped up ahead. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that, you know, if you have a day job, you know, you're not putting and you're minimizing risk. Because I hear people say you got to go for it, and you know that's fine and dandy. And I like to be entrepreneurial, but there also gets a point where it's the idea that you really want to risk everything that you have
on comics.
Yeah, on comics. And I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know how big the comic market is? Not the movie market, the actual comic market.
No, I'm gonna guess maybe 300,000, 3 or
So
400,000.
the comic market in 2018 was $1.1 billion.
Oh, money wise? Okay, I was thinking individual human beings reading comics.
No. I was talking money. That's how much money comics brought in, just the books across every single company. So we're talking all the way from Marvel, DC, Image.
You said 1.8 billion?
1.1.
1.1 because Demon Slayer last year did 1.9 billion itself as an IP.
Demon Slayer?
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about manga.
I know, but I'm just saying like that should show the state of comics, that the whole industry did 1.1, but one IP in Japan did 1.8.
Yes. And IP is different than the actual physical book.
Uh-huh. But even then, I'm sure the book probably did like a lot of that, and it still beat out everything.
Oh yeah, no question about that. Manga is on a rise right now, but the idea is that the comic market is not that big. Mm-hmm. $1 billion is not a lot of money, and then you have to divide that across every sector.
Yes.
And so that's the point where, and so obviously you brought up a point where, since you do have a day job, it does support, and then you can do whatever you want, and you're not relying on it. And that's something that I think a lot of creators also don't understand.
Well, and not just that, and like that's market cap. You're talking about market cap on just like the mainstream industry and even indies. You look at some of the biggest indie creators who are on crowdfunding, and I say crowdfunding because a lot of creators stick to crowdfunding when there's so many other platforms to monetize. But if you look at the top indie crowdfunds, and I don't count Berserk because that was Keanu Reeves, but you have like Brian Pulido, and he will probably he does around anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 backers per book. And then you have but he was an established pro, so let's take him out of there. because he's an established pro. He has an audience. You then have someone like Mongi, and she has a webcomic that has 4 million people reading it, and she's able to hit like maybe 4,500 backers. And so you have to think, okay, if these people with their millions of followers can only monetize 4,500, how many am I monetizing with my quote unquote following? I'll probably hit 6,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. Where are you guys? Like, where are you guys? Are you guys in America?
A great question, actually. So I was in a Facebook group, actually, and we were talking about selling books into shops. And I sell indie books on my eBay store. And I said that I need a 50% discount because, especially when I'm selling a variant, and I've done the numbers and I know exactly how much people pay. There's room for everybody to make money. But I said, look, eBay takes 13%. And if I sell a book for $28, including shipping, I'm making $6.38 after I pay for the book, pay for shipping materials, pay eBay's fees, and pay for the shipping. If I didn't already mention that, I'm making $6.38 per book, which is not a lot of money for a lot of work. And somebody said, oh, you need better than that. And then, a creator, if they have a good YouTube following, should be able to do 100,000 to 200,000 per book. No. And my response to that person, and I didn't say this, and I was very polite. And
you're dumb. You said that, right?
You're not in reality. That is insane, for lack of a better word. Where that is not a reality thing. Nobody with a good YouTube channel can do 100,000. To do 100,000 on one book is very difficult. You might be able to do 120,000 on 4 books. That's probable, and that's doable. And I know people who get those numbers, like Big Dog Inc. Tom Hutchinson does those numbers. But if you and you have a decent YouTube channel in a lot of ways, and there are people who are bigger, but they can't even do 100,000 on one book. So are you
talking about copies or dollars?
Dollars.
Because there is a way to. I know someone, his name is Vaughn, and his Kickstarter, his Indiegogo just hit, I think, $60,000. Great book. It's called Tearing the Trenches. He doesn't even have a YouTube channel, and so I think but also one thing that also to consider is let's say we're trying to hit $100,000, you and me. Let's say we're 2 different creators. We each make our own comic book. How am I going to hit $100,000? You could go the method of going, I want quantity of people. So if you charge $10 for your comic book, you're going to need to monetize 10,000 people. But if I am the creator who's going to charge 25, well, I immediately, you have to charge 10,000. I only have to do 4,000. So immediately there's a $6,000 difference. And so what you see in some of these communities of those who hit these $100,000 campaigns, everyone's like, oh my gosh, they hit these massive numbers. I always go, yeah, but look how much they charged. Look how much they had to charge for this. Yeah, I could charge $50 a book, and then I just hit $50,000. But at what cost? At what cost? It gets
tricky because I got no problem telling what I charged on my ads. It's very public, and anybody can look it up. I was charging $15 a live read. And after I come into podcasting, it's going to go up to 20. And I think I'm being relatively cheap because I know exactly how much other people pay, and I prefer them forever. So if you advertise on my show, it stays on the show forever. There are other shows that charge $125 for 30 seconds for 10,000 downloads.
There you go.
So there's a reason to why I am sticking where I'm at, where I might not get 10,000 downloads, but I have episodes on my other show that have 3,000-4,000 downloads, but they stay up forever. And if you're in the game long enough and you believe your product is sufficient, you're going to be around for 10 years. You're getting a 10-year lifespan on a product versus 10,000 downloads, which can be manipulated very easily.
Mm-hmm. Or they're just short-lived. Downloads. I have a couple videos I have a video right now that's done 30,000 in 2 weeks. I've made nothing on it. I've made YouTube money on it, but I might, you might go, oh, those 30,000 people, they probably heard you say the girl with the mega fist and clicked on the Kickstarter link. No, like, not at all. But someday they might. Someday that'll pay off. I had a creator, Adam Lawson, and the video that we did together is finally popping off. And he was like, yo, I got some Indiegogo baggers randomly today. I'm like, oh yeah, because your video that we did popped off, but we did it 3 months ago. And so yeah, I think what you're doing and what you're charging, I do agree what you're charging is too cheap, but you're obviously growing it, and it's like get in now. But also I think that's a good value prop for the person to go, hey, if I pay this much money, I get to be on here forever. Because who doesn't listen? If someone likes a podcast, they listen to old episodes eventually.
It's also the idea that the content is getting into a lot of different places, and we're not in podcast format. And there's going to be a point where but I also don't want to screw and price people out. In which that I can make money at $20, and the thing is that my overhead is so cheap, where I don't have expensive overhead. My overhead is cheap, therefore I can pass my costs down to my people that want to advertise with me, so they can also pass those costs down. So if you need advertising and you want a permanent place to park an ad, well, everybody can win here, because I'm making money and I'm making more than I need technically. And then you're getting what you want, and that's what I believe in, and that's kind of what I want. Because then if you say, somebody comes to me like, you're $20 and I need 15 more ads, they're going to come parking at me all the time, and they'll be like, oh man, you were reasonable, and these other people, that didn't do me much good, or it's not going to serve me in the long run. And I'm trying to build a continuous business. I don't want a one-off money grab, because I could do that too.
Exactly. You're sustainable when you have repeat customers every week and month going, oh yeah, like, oh, we need another ad. Yo, just hit up Andrew. Like, make it happen.
And so that's another thing where I have an issue with Kickstarter, where I like to play when I buy Kickstarters. I'm taking a break because I'm sort of out of money, everybody, and I also got to make sure that I pay my.
Should have got in on Dogecoin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I did get in pretty cheaply on Ethereum though, so I'm very happy. I got dirt cheap on Algorand. That's a nice discussion. I got in at Algorand at like 40 cents.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like at like 78 cents now. And I've income averaging, but like the average that I think my buy-in is at like 50 cents a coin, which is great. Considering that it pays interest, which is awesome. But this is not a crypto show. That's the next episode. I actually am trying to get somebody. If anybody knows anybody who does comic book NFTs, that'd be such an interesting discussion. But I'm just throwing that out there. If anybody wants to hook me up, just DM me somewhere. But having said that, obviously I think that's something where, and I'm curious how you feel, because your prices are relatively cheap on your Kickstarter that you're doing, where I don't feel like you're pricing anybody out who wants a physical copy of your book.
Yeah, no, it was really important to me when I made this book that I wanted to make it affordable. So I looked at what other people were doing. So I looked at a lot of these Indiegogo books are $25 plus $10 in shipping, so $35, and you get probably anywhere from 50 to 60 pages. Full color. So I was like, okay, 50, 60 pages, $35. I was like, okay. I look over, and then Kickstarter realm, kind of the same prices. And then you have, then you have like anomalies, outliers, like Common America, $10 for a hardcover. No one's beating that. No one is beating that currently. So I'm like, okay, so you have $10 for a hardcover. I can't do that. Same with Brian Pulido, 60 pages, $25. And so I'm like, okay, like what can I do that kind of sets me apart? My book's 200 pages, so immediately sets me apart. And I'll do it in paperback. Everyone's doing it in paperback, but let me see if I can do it for $15. Let's see if I can do it for $15. Granted, my book is black and white, but I mean that's a standard like like
Yeah.
manga style. Um, but also just I think, but also I think indies. I think more indies should be black and white so that it can help them bring their costs down and get more exposure. But that's a different conversation. So yeah, I always want to make my books affordable because there were so many books that I would get interested on campaigns and I go, man, I just don't have the heart to drop $35 for a book I don't think I can get into, but I can spare $15 on a 200-page story and come out with something.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. Where I feel that sometimes a book or a cover is $30, and I'm like, look, I'd be more of a buyer at 20, where I don't feel
Yes.
even the values there. And it sounds like $10, but I right now I'm in very selective mode, and I'm also saying to myself like, then you got to calculate shipping, and then it's like I don't want to be spending $40 on Kickstarter that is a story that's a risk in a lot of ways as well. And that's the other thing too. I mean, I spend $15 at Starbucks every week so easily that $15 is not that big of a deal for me. Or I spend like $45 every month at Midtown Comics, but I'm also being selective. So I don't have a problem spending $15 when I have it, but it's also the idea that it's a risk of a product. And so I think that in a lot of ways helps you because it's a lot of value. I mean, there's somebody who has a 24-page book that's $15 out there, and I'm just like, it's a cool book, but do I really want to wait, another 4 months for the book, the next issue to come, and
Yeah.
24 pages versus also a whole collected edition?
Yeah, that's another thing you brought. That's a really good thing you brought up. Is it's always hard to get invested in a series on Kickstarter because you don't know when the next issue is gonna be.
If it's gonna be a next issue
If
as
it's
well.
gonna be exactly. And so this sounds so shitty, but unless I know you, I typically won't buy your first book. I want to see the either book 2 or 3 before I get invested in. But even then, it's kind of hard because let's say it's 6 issues. You could be waiting 2 years to finish the story, and then you're like, what's happening?
It's tricky for me where also, and I don't know how you feel, but I'll give an example. This has happened to me where somebody funds issue one. I'm like, cool, I know you. I want to support you. I got no problem. You've been good to me. I'll throw it. Your book might suck, but fuck it. I'm gonna support you because I believe that you have to support your friends and support people who have been good to you. And even if their stuff isn't great, you need to support it. And a bunch of people have done that on this show, and a bunch of people have done that on my Kickstarter when they didn't have to step up. And I get it that you have to give back,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the idea that then issue one didn't come, and then you're funding for issue two. How am I supposed to accurately say issue one was amazing? I'm in for issue two. And that happens to me. And then it puts me in a weird situation because I'm like, what if I really like issue one, but you're asking money for issue two, and issue two's Kickstarter is going to be done in 3 weeks, and then issue one's going to give it to me in 5 weeks? Like, what do I do? It's a problem.
Oh yeah, like well, one that's just bad on the creator for poor scheduling and timing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with the whole you back on issue. This always breaks my heart. Is let's say I see a creator, um, I back their issue one. I read their issue one, and I just go, oh, that was bad. And then they message you on, hey, issue two's out. Come support it. It's like the first one was bad, and I lost $20 on this, and it breaks my heart. It literally breaks my heart. I have one series in mind that I won't say out loud that I think I've dropped at least $100 into it, and I'm now and they always message me, hey, we have this new one. And I'm like, I backed and these are volumes. I backed volume one at $20. It wasn't good. I backed volume two, it wasn't good. Backed volume three, and then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't.
Oh, I have a rule. I have a rule that if I don't know you and you come and back and message me, you're like, my issue's out, and you back it, you go to the back of the line. And if I love your concept, I, on principle, will not back your project. On principle.
Because they messaged you.
If somebody, like, I'll throw a friend Ruben Romero messages me, I got no problem because I know Ruben. Ruben's just reminding me to back his project. There's a difference. Or if you hit me up saying, hey, I got a Kickstarter, check it out. I know you. You're not doing it to be malicious. You're not begging. You're not desperate.
Or
right?
spamming.
Yeah, that's another thing. And the worst thing, and I'm curious how you feel about this, is so certain people can tag me on certain.
Oh, I hate no.
Okay, so when I'm shooting this out and I tag you when I push out the interview,
that's fine.
Different. That's completely different. Or for instance, if my friend Tyrone from the Soulverse tags me in something and he doesn't do it extensively and he does it maybe once every 3 months, that's fine too, because I get it. I got to give a little back, right? I understand. But if I don't know who the fuck you are and we're Facebook friends because I said, why not? And then you spam the shit out of me and you tag me, I mean, I remove those tags.
100%. I remove tags every single day. I'll tell you, one creator kept tagging me. I messaged them. I said, hey, listen, stop tagging me. I'm not buying your book. I'm not even part of this book. And I said, and I love you, so let me give you some tips on what you can do better. And I was very heartfelt. It was like a massive message. They didn't ask for it, but it legit came out of a place of love on how to, and then they just blocked me. And I was like, oh, well, okay, fuck you. But then they recently added me this week, and I'm like, no, like we're done. And to me, I get it. Like if you tag me in this, 100% you should, because I'm in this, and then I should be obligated to share this out. I've shared this out on my Twitter, which is my big following. That's where my following is. Like, I should share out your podcast.
One of the things is that when I launch a Kickstarter, I'll tag 50 people, but that's the only tag I do. And you know what is? You know how many people I tag in a massive post a year? Like 3 or 4 times. Like, I'll tag 100 people and wish them all Merry Christmas. Right? But that's not me. And nobody gets upset at that because that's a very nice thing to do because it's also not extensive. Or when I launch a Kickstarter, I'll tag everybody and I'll do 100 tags and let everybody know, but then I won't do anything else. And if they just not do it, instead of messaging 100 people, it's just easier to tag them even though you're not part of the project. But I don't do it every day.
And even if you did, like, let's say, I'm really close with Brian Ball, and we talk every week, and we're always sharing artwork and whatnot. When he posts on Twitter, like a really cool piece of artwork, he'll tag me in it, even though it's got nothing to do with me. I'll tell you what I do when he does that, Brian, if you're listening. I will reply to the tweet like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool." I will retweet it like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool." And then I will mute the conversation because I just don't want all the notifications because he'll get hundreds of notifications. But I won't untag myself. But I do think that, like, if rando people who I don't know start tagging me every single day, I start getting kind of annoyed, especially if that's their only marketing tactic is to tag people or spam their DMs.
It's annoying on Facebook. It's more annoying on Facebook than on Twitter. On Twitter, I don't really care if you tag me. You can tag me all you want on Twitter. I don't mind. Because chances are, if you're tagging me on Twitter, I don't get notified. It doesn't go on my wall. It doesn't affect my brand on Facebook. And people try to piggyback off of my brand on Facebook.
But on Facebook, it shows on your homepage.
That's why it bothers me on Facebook. On Twitter, somebody wants to bother me on Twitter. If somebody wants to put me as an Instagram collaborator, chances are I'm going to accept. All of that is fine because those things actually have benefit. When somebody tags me on Twitter, it actually has a benefit to me because I'm now somewhat in your ecosphere, and I don't mind that. I mind it on Facebook because it typically goes one way on Facebook. It does not go the other way. And it is to let me know you got X going on. And so if you message me, if you shoot me a DM on Twitter, I probably will respond to your DM because that actually takes effort to find my Twitter. to some degree. Like, and to find the right personal Twitter of mine. If you DM me and find my personal Twitter, I probably will not hold it against you. I'll probably reward you if you go do that. I'm just saying because you actually had to put effort into it. I appreciate effort. I reward effort. Is all I'm going to say.
I think another thing as well, with the whole like the tagging and whatnot. If God forbid if anyone ever spam messages me with like a hey, but like my book's on Kickstarter and I don't know them, and I also have a Kickstarter going, I'm gonna spam them, and that's all I'm gonna do is go, oh yeah, me too. And I understand the whole like, I do understand the whole like, you gotta give, you gotta take. If you're gonna take, you gotta give. But I do have this thing where that there I do see a lot of creators, and I'm like, what are your thoughts on this? I know that there's a lot of creators out there who probably come and they message you, "Can I come on your show, Andrew? Can I get a spot?" And you do it. And I'm sure you see the same cats over and over and over. But then do you ever get this feeling of, "Hey, can I come on your show and pimp out whatever I'm doing?" And then they go, "I got nothing." Does that ever bother you?
So it's not even that. I don't get invited on anybody's show. It's weird.
You need to make a comic, and then everyone will. Then they'll be like, "Yeah."
So I do a lot of media, but I do a lot of media outside of the comic realm.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I have a different media philosophy, but that's neither here nor there. What I get and what you're talking about is I run a Kickstarter. I push that thing out like crazy. Every day I was putting in groups. Every day I was posting on my wall. I was sort of just reminding a few people and talking to a few people and just getting it out there and changing up the imaging. And I did a few shows here and there. But then Kickstarter's over, and now a bunch of people are like, "I got a Kickstarter, man. Can I come on your show?" And I'm like, "Where the fuck have you been?" Like, if you didn't see my fucking posting, I calculated how many posts I did. I think I did like at least 1,500 posts. If you didn't see my posts, and then I'm like, "Hey, I gotta get my Kickstarter people in first," and I'm like, "I don't want to book you. I don't want to book you. I don't mind your book, but you weren't a great guest the first round, and now you want to hit me up when it's convenient for you," and that just agitates the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And
So as someone who has a podcast, what's good etiquette for like getting an interview with you? Like, should they schedule it a month or two in advance? Like,
oh, no. What you should do is that you should be like, "Hey, you got some openings? Here's my book. Send me a digital copy of your book and don't ask for anything else, and say, hey, can I get on your show if you'd like it?" Like, I'm not even joking. That's legitimately the way it should be done.
but most of the time they're like, "I need to come on this week."
It's not even come on this week. So many people shoot me messages out, 6 weeks in advance. It's not a time issue. It's the fact that I have to be, if you're not going to pay me. So first off, if you want to get on my show and you really want to get on my show, then pay me. Seriously, buy a fucking guaranteed guest spot. It's that simple. I'm at that stage where I tend to get a certain caliber of guests. I have had Ralph Tedesco on. I've had Sun Kumanagi. I've had Keith Garvey on. I've had Ebass on. Like, if you want to be put next to certain people and be treated in a certain position and be on a show that actually does their homework and actually pushes out, it's going into podcasting, it's going to push it hard, and you want to be like everybody else because the bar has been set too. That's the other thing, is that every guest on my Kickstarter has paid $20. So the only way you get on is either you paid or I choose you. It's those two paths. And so if I hit you up, it's different, or you could pay me if I don't find your project up to a certain caliber.
How's that working out for you? Because I tried doing that last year. Like, you have to pay me to get on the show, and no one did it.
It worked on my Kickstarter.
So what I need to do is I need to do a draw and talk like guest spot for the year.
I mean, you know what it is? It worked because certain people, and I converted about 8 new people who have complete trust in me, who were never been on my show before. And I sell ad space, and
but what you can do is you can go previously appeared on my show, and then you put on the big name faces, and then you go, yeah, yeah, like, I,
because also I'm a little bit different where I also do mainstream. So I had somebody like Ivan Tao on my show.
mm-hmm.
I had somebody like Danielle Di Nicola, who's a cosplayer and has 600,000 Instagram followers. I happen to know Santine Phoenix, and she's been on my show a few times. So all of a sudden, when I have legitly got name dropping ability, and I'm like, well, and then I interview all these wrestlers. I just had the H2O, which is a promotion out in Jersey, and it's a somewhat of a deathmatch company, and their champion was just on my show. And I mean, I lucked out because he became champion after the fact. But
But
it's
you have street, but it gives you street cred. So it's like, listen, I don't need. Okay, how do I say this nicely? I don't need your indie book to be on my show when I can go get this pro wrestler on.
I am at the stage where I now want to pick a lot of people, and also what happens is that I can go pick up a cosplayer. I just had somebody who has like 40,000 followers on Instagram, and all of a sudden, when I start pushing this out, and I have a lot of friends in a lot of places now, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So that's the other thing that people don't realize is that I've been podcasting for about 10 years now, and I know a lot of people. And so if you have, and not to be mean, it's people's books are sometimes not up to a certain caliber. And so I don't want to interview somebody whose book is not up to a certain caliber, or they are not a good guest, for lack of a better word, because I also now have sponsors. I also now need to justify who I'm interviewing and why I'm interviewing them. And that's the problem that I'm at right now.
Yeah, if you have a sponsor behind an episode and you bring on a terrible guest, the sponsors will be like, "Yo, what the heck? Why would you?" Now we're associated with that terrible episode. Now that looks bad on you and your business.
Look, my sponsor is happy with me. Mixum is very happy with me, and
they should. You're giving away 85% discounts to everyone.
It's 5%, guys. It's 5%. But Mixum is good. Mixum has a lot of cool stuff going on. But that's how I run it now. And I mean, somebody asked me, and they're not a good guest. They've been on twice, and I feel like they haven't done what they were gonna do. Their episode doesn't do well, and they are not a dream entity. And it's kind of like, if you didn't see my Kickstarter, you didn't find value in what I was doing, and you've been on twice. I mean, we got to call a spade here.
So what you're saying is, listen, you were on my show twice, and then you saw my Kickstarter, and you didn't think that I was valuable enough for like $20.
And look, I backed 2 or 3 of your projects too. And so, at what point do you say, "Hey, you back me? I got to take care of you"?
Gotcha.
I don't believe a 1-for-1 where I didn't go into it, but you got to wake up sometimes and realize that, hey, I got to support somebody if they want to support me, and they're there for me. Because it's also the idea that you're not just giving me $20. I'm actually putting effort into what we're doing here. And that's just the problem.
What if that? Yeah, but that's another thing. Let's talk like kind of going back to the whole monetization of creators. Maybe not even monetizing, but creators need to find ways to leverage other people. Whereas, so you have this show, I have my show, so it's not like a scratch your back, you scratch mine, but it's kind of like, listen, if you have a show or you have like another way of media thing, you have leverage, and you can, maybe I don't have the $20 to get on your show, Andrew, but I go, hey, listen, I don't have $20, but you come on my show.
It's that I did that with Josh. I can't always say his last name, but he interviewed me, and then at the end of the interview, he said, everything. I said, absolutely. Like, I didn't even balk at it because I understand it. Also, I use other people's networks. That's the other thing too, is that this entire thing is built on the fact that I understand name recognition. I understand other things. And look, that this is the idea as well, is that I'm trying to get somebody who has a really cool book on, and I don't want to talk too much about it right now, but I just know that interview is going to get attention to me, and I'm smart. And again, I didn't ask you for $20 because I wanted you to interview you. So it's either my choice or you can pay. It's one of those two things. So that's called bringing something to the table. And I'm being very selective this year. And it's nothing against anybody. And also, I'm doing more wrestlers this year, and I'm doing more cosplayers, which takes spots away.
Yeah, dude. Hey, you get
I'm
like
not.
Amaranth on there.
Well, what did you say?
You get like Amaranth, like get Amaranth, or you get Jenilyn Miari, and I'll pay you to be a guest host. You say, oh yeah, I got Jenilyn. I'll be like, Andrew, I'll give you like $100, and just let me be on the show. I won't even say anything. Just let me have my camera on, and I'll ask some questions.
Hey, I've done that before with somebody, and that was a very interesting interview. I don't want to say.
She's like, "Who's this guy?" He goes, "Oh, he paid to be on this because he just wants to say hi." Oh, yeah, that.
But so many levels. You're gonna have to come on camera though if you want to for that interview.
No, because then I'll just be like licking my microphone, like hi.
Clearly, this show is going downhill. I started off this show on a very, very positive note with Tristan Thompson. And then I had Jim Noble on my birthday, and that entire thing went downhill starting there.
No, I think what you're doing is smart though, and I think creators need to learn. Like we've talked tonight about like, okay, creators need to learn how to monetize. I think another thing is creators need to learn how to leverage. How do you leverage other people in a good way? It's
also the idea that I'm just saying no. That's the thing. And look, I like the guy who I'm going to say no to, but it's like, what have you done for me? And I'm very honest about it now, is that people have done certain things for me, and I find value. And, people try to tell me how to run my business and where I go and who I interview. And I perceive value in a lot of different sectors, and I've been doing the same thing for the last 5 years, and it's working. And that's where I'm at. And it's the same thing with you. You're extremely selective on who's on Draw and Talk and on who you interview and who you engage with. Like, to be very honest, I probably do not qualify and fit into your box right now.
You totally, you could have just hit me up. Here's yeah, and I would have said yes.
I'm not even asking. It's the idea that I'm being very honest. I haven't created a comic.
No, but you bring, see, my criteria. I'll tell you what my criteria is I just want to have a good conversation, and you and I have good conversation. I think because you and I haven't really talked about like, oh, and then you draw a panel, and if you get the wide shot, we're talking about business, and that's what you bring differently than other creators, because other creators would be like, well, my book has like a lizard and she's a blonde, and you're like, let's talk about what can you put your money into in the creator economy to like get some money back, because it's not going to be comics. It's going to be like when someone goes, Tyler, how much money did you make in comics last year? I went, I made probably $1,000 in comics last year. Oh man, you suck. I went, yeah, but I also made 20 grand in Ethereum. So with that $1,000, so like you decide what yeah, did comics pay me the best? No, but I know how to use my money to make more money. You should probably learn that skill too.
Yeah, it's a very good skill to learn, and then there's a bunch of other skills, but I don't know how much legally I can say on air, so I'm not going to say anything. If there's one thing, my father's a lawyer, and he taught me to shut up when you don't know the answer to something. So that's all I'm going to say on that point. But I do though, since we spoke a lot about business, I do want to talk about this right here, and I really like that. I took that photo right off of it.
Just looking at everyone saying these are the rewards.
Yes, so you got some cool stuff. So obviously you got the main cover, you got the Sunset variant, and then you got the Patreon variant, and it's a really cool book. And then obviously this is just the regular cover up front.
And that's I say main cover, but it's called it's the prestige cover, and what that means is at the back of the book it'll say prestige. And after the Kickstarter's done, this kind of goes back to the whole distribution thing. After this Kickstarter's done, we won't be making the prestige version anymore until we do another Kickstarter. If you come in like in June and go, I want a volume 1, I go, sweet. You can buy it here, and you get the standard edition. And what the standard edition is, it's not $15, it's $20, and it's a print on demand. And it's less quality. And And when you buy that book, I might make less, but I also don't touch it. I don't touch the handling, the distribution, the printing, the packaging. You pay your money, the printer prints it, ships it to you. Bada bing, bada boom. So we're kickstarting the Prestige edition, but then once that's finished, it's just standard editions.
Well, maybe I'm gonna have to go buy this book now. So I did just sell a Pop Funko for a good amount of money. So
Yes, you did. Well, also the Prestige cover, and that's another thing I'm trying to figure out is with the Prestige, with that cover, with the Prestige Volume 1, that's probably gonna be. I'll probably do one print run of that, and then after that, I'll make the second print run will be the one that goes forever of that particular cover.
And so I really just wanted to show this because obviously I do like to talk about business, but I do want to show what people can pick up and everything all that way. And then obviously, you can have one of a kind cover in there. You have a retail tier, which is always good. And so obviously there are other options as well in this entire thing that you're doing. But anybody could go to your Kickstarter.
Go to my Kickstarter. Well, and I guess because of Andrew's discount on Mixum, where I'm getting 85%.
Yeah, they're totally gonna drop me.
No, Mixum, keep Andrew. He's awesome. It's 5% on your first order.
I also have other sponsorships too.
Let me ruin this one for you then, because you have other ones to fall back on.
My other sponsorship is BCW Supplies, and you can type in Pop Anime Comics and get 10% off your entire order. So that's in the description above, and obviously inflation sucks, guys. So
get as many discounts. Get them discounts. Yeah, guys, you can go to my Kickstarter, and I have all these cool tiers, and honestly, I think they're all pretty affordable. Like $8 for a digital, $15 for the main cover, $25 for another cover, and then after the $70 cover,
the 75 is pricey, but it's also super exclusive, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my patrons are getting. Those who've been sticking around. So I was like, man, like those people who held out for that long, I want to make sure that they get this cover. And if you really want it, you're gonna pay some extra. And then I've got other books on there that I've done. My Life as RPG, Demons, Entity, Chefs. I actually, Andrew, have a package that I'm mailing to you in a couple weeks for Chefs, because you were a member of my Patreon for a certain amount of time, and you qualified to get a copy of Chefs.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to reactivate that because it was just a tough 2-3 months.
Dude, you do what you gotta do. But I've got a package for you. It's got Chefs in there.
Awesome. I do like that Miss Maple.
I know. The book that everyone wanted me to do that I didn't want to do myself is coming your way.
Hey! You know what is this is what I say is that you create an IP and maybe you have a great concept, but it's not the right time to do it. And
that's what it is.
You can't come back to it at another date, or you can't revise it at a later date, or better yet, you can sell the IP to somebody else and say, I'm out of it, but at least I made some money on it.
That's true. I've had someone, people go, can I buy the Chef's IP? And I was like, if you want to buy it, that means I have something. So no. But maybe one day I will, if I just
or maybe you know what it is? The idea is that maybe you want to do this and revisit it in 3 years, and that's the whole thing. It's kind of like, I got a podcast idea. It's just not the time for me to do it at the moment.
100%. It's once I know what the girl with the mega fist, Chefs is the next one online where I go, okay, is now the time to do this. And if it's not, it goes back on the burner. I've thought about, I'll say this just here. Doesn't mean we're doing it. I've thought about using Chefs as you sign up for $20 and you get access to the IP, and you can I'll send you the logo, and you can make your own books in that universe, and anyone can make their own kind of Chefs stuff with my IP. I just say these are the rules, and you just have to buy in to get access to the IP. I've thought about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a million things that can be done, and obviously, creativity gets really, really fun. And really, what he wants to do is he's going to create an NFT access port.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Oh my gosh, that's really what it would be if I gave someone access to the IP. It's just an NFT.
You mint essentially 10. I'm still here. I'm back, guys. And then the NFTs is basically a passcode, and then whatever they create on their NFT gets transferred over to the next person.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go.
That's how you do it. And you get a royalty,
Yes.
they get a royalty as well upon sale. So you split the royalty.
Yes, that's how you do it.
Now, because if you do it and you split the royalty, what will actually happen is that and then the royalty forks again for the next person on their side. Now I don't know exactly how you set that up, but it's not that hard to do that. And the idea is that now everybody has a vested interest in creating something because if I create a character now in that NFT, there you go. I
Yeah.
now might be getting zero point 0.6 Ethereum every time that thing moves out, and you still have it in your universe, and you're getting a piece of it, and everybody's making money.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing a lot of people don't understand about NFTs. It's like, dude, this is just a way for everyone to get a piece of the pie when they create with each other.
I want to make NFTs of certain things, but I'm just going to give them as gifts to people for just because I understand a buying favor.
Oh yeah, but then once they sell, you start getting royalties.
But it's the idea that I'll just give it as a gift to somebody,
Mm.
and she could sell it. And
But doesn't it cost if even if you made it, doesn't it cost you to mint it?
so it won't be that expensive on Solana.
Okay, I was gonna say I was like if you're doing it on Ethereum, it's
Or I could build it on Wax. Technically,
mm,
I've tried to build stuff on Wax, but I would rather build it on the Solana network, to be honest.
definitely a lot more affordable.
But I know a lot about this stuff. Like, I'm somewhat big into crypto. I'm not a big NFT guy. I just happen to know a lot about it. But that's a different discussion. And again, I don't know how much I legally can actually say about NFTs and what I can't. But what I just said to you is perfectly that's more of theory. But I don't know how. I don't want to start giving people legal advice on NFTs.
Oh yeah. I well, every like person they always when they ever start their TikTok they go this isn't legal advice and then they start talking.
Yeah, no. I'm also I don't want to missteer people because while I know a lot, I do not know everything,
Uh huh.
and I don't want to go down that road. There are way more qualified people.
For sure, guys. Just put all your money in Dogecoin and XRP, and if you love losing money, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And when you buy Dogecoin, use code Andrew Davis, and Mixum will get you that 5%.
Yeah, right. This is the day. Like, okay, like tomorrow they're gonna see this episode. It's like, Andrew, we would like to double what you're paying you now.
Well, yeah. hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't cancel my order. They go, we saw you were on Andrews and you were misrepresenting us, so they cancel my order.
Yeah, right. Like, no, Mixum likes me because I have definitely been a good sponsor and I've returned capital to them in a lot of ways.
Heck yeah! I mean, gosh, had I known that you guys were sponsors, I would have used your code on my last order.
Hey, it's all good. Most people know it. Most people don't. It's all good. And,
But it's on my first order, right?
yeah, it's on your first order. And
gosh, but I've already made more than one order.
I have a feeling that they are pretty cool and pretty lenient with anybody using that code on any order. At least
all right,
for any.
That's true.
Because I've heard people who used it on their like third or fourth order. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. I saved myself some money, and they didn't use it before, so they're pretty good at that, and they do a good job, and they got some cool stuff going on. But I don't know if I can say what they have going on. That's a game changer in the next probably 6 to 8 months. But anyway, I do want to back out of your project, and I do want to talk about one more thing. And obviously, I am curious your take on conventions because I don't think I'm ever going back to a con. I had a bad experience almost 2.5 years ago, and I really don't miss cons. and I've never made money, and I'm making money in the digital space now. And I have obviously an eBay store, so whatever I don't sell on a Kickstarter, I can sell on my eBay store. There's Gumroad, there's a variety of other places that I haven't even explored yet. And when I produce a comic, those places are going to be explored. Not to mention that Facebook Live and a variety of other live sales sites I could sell on. So I think I can make 14 times to 20 times the amount of money that I would make at a con. And I've also figured out that networking isn't that hard online.
No. I think for me, um, luckily I have made money at cons, but I haven't been to a con in like 3 or 4 years. I get invited every free comic book day to several different stores. And I'll just, be like, yeah, I'll show up for like a couple hours and have a silly goose time. This last free comic book day, though, I went to, and maybe it was the store, maybe it was the people in there. I wanted to punch every person that was there and knife them in the throat because I was so pissed off because it literally, nothing on my table was free. And I'd be like, hey guys, and they would just walk past me, and I'm like, bro, like, I'm like trying to talk with you, or be like, oh, is this free? And I go, no, like, I have to make this on my own. They go, okay, and they'd walk off. I had like two dads just take books from me, and I'd go, hey, and they'd be like, thank you, and they'd walk off. And I was like, man, F this. So I don't know, like, I think it's just, I just really think that I'm kind of with you on the whole con situation. Like, why do I need to invest $500 for a table when I could, when 500, not just $500 for a table, staying maybe in a sweaty hotel, have to buy all this inventory when if I really, really wanted to do a convention, I'll go, hey guys, Tyler's doing a Kickstarter for 2 weeks, and here you go, and I'll schedule some interviews, and I'm in the like my nice house. And
It's
then
not even that for me. It's I've never had a table. I used to do panels for free, and I got tickets.
you didn't like it?
And you know what? I've never converted a Twitter follow. I've never converted, Facebook like. I've never.
You need boobs.
And also the last thing wasn't even on the schedule. It wasn't on the website, and it was just bloodied, and it was miserable, and it was fucked up. And I never ever felt like just so like disrespected.
Oh, that's a big thing. Feel it like they treated you bad.
I've never felt disrespected and felt like they made me feel like it was my fault, their fuck up, and that's how I felt. And I was staying in a hotel, and I don't normally stay in a hotel. And I was just like, I said, my mom was there, and I said to my mom, like, I feel like just leaving. And I didn't even do my panel. I just felt like saying, I just want to leave. Fuck this. I don't need to stay here. I don't need to do this. I did my panel. It was a bad panel, and it was a bad experience for me. And
you probably felt a little embarrassed too.
Yeah, it wasn't even embarrassment. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if it was embarrassment, but here I am, and I'm like, it was BlurredCon, and I mean that's a minority con. I have a disability, and I get that I'm white. I'll say that openly, politically incorrect, but I was like, this is a minority themed con, and you see me walking on crutches. This is messed up on so many levels, and I'm doing a panel on gay and lesbian comic creators. So where I have source material. Like I legitimately probably am one of the only people who has legit source materials to do that panel. And then I felt absolutely just disrespected. While spending real money. Spent about $600 to be there.
So see, if I was in your position, I'd be definitely pissed off because I'm like, because you spent your own money and absolutely got nothing in return. Yeah, like at least for me, if I spend $600 at a con, I can hopefully get it back because I'm selling something. But yeah, no, if I had an experience like you, I definitely would feel disrespected and not want to go back.
And this is the thing is that, like I say to cons, like lunch stipend maybe, like free tickets don't mean shit to me. I'm working. It's like if I used to speak on money. Now I'm telling every con that if you want me to speak about money and invest in comics and go through the basics, that's going to cost you. I don't mind doing other panels for free, but I'm not doing that for free. And there's a reason why, because I'm building out a class that I'm going to be charging $200 for the entire class per
Mm-hmm.
person. And I mean that's where I'm at. But I just felt disrespected. But yeah, that's how I feel about cons right now, and I don't really see the merit in me going back so quickly, if
I
ever.
yeah, for me, I've never I can't get into my local con. I don't know why. I know people there, but also like the people that I do know there, like they don't really care for me. Like I've never been respected in the art community in locally. And so I've just been like I don't want to be around these people who don't even like me. I want them to like me, but they just don't like me. They don't want to like me, so whatever. And then and then at the same time it's just a lot of work. It's just a lot of work, and I think if I can just I'd rather grow those that week. I would rather just grow my digital following and then don't get me wrong. I think at some point I want to do more conventions. If that at some point I want to be able to do more conventions and sell books. I
Yeah,
think just where I'm at right now, I think I just kind of want to just stay
I
home.
agree. I mean, honestly, I could sell books on eBay, and I understand that I'm a variant guy. So when I run my project, I am going straight variants, and I understand completely what's going to sell my book, and I understand that I'm going to make a lot more money on eBay than on my Kickstarter. Like I got no qualms about it saying that my Kickstarter, it's to deliver the books cheaper to the people who want them and discover it, and whatever's left over is going to be $10 more to $15 more on eBay.
That's what you got to do. Like if that's your like that's what you got to do. And what's good is that you're upfront about it. But like you don't need to do that at a con. And just as well, I also hate the culture of conventions right now where it's I have $500, sweet, buy my book. I'm gonna go give it to the actor who played the zombie.
It's so it's not even that for me. I've had good experiences at conventions, but I also recognize the idea that for instance, Rhode Island Con. I don't know what it's called exactly, but like they had all the Cobra Kai there. They had all these AEW wrestlers there, and it was just like I knew exactly what was going to happen with it, and they had all these wrestlers there, and money goes that way, and it flows downward, and it's an unfortunate side effect, and also there's a lot of focus on cosplay, and this is where I'm at. It goes back to the whole panel thing for me is that if you can afford to guarantee an actor $50,000 and you can't pay my Uber cost to get to the con, we got a problem. When I'm talking about money, legitimately explaining how to save whoever's in my panel and how to change their entire financial thing in an hour, we have a problem because one of us is actually probably more valuable than that entire fucking row. Which you
Mm-hmm.
and it's not it's ridiculous. Legitimately, what I did in an hour at that con was I changed the entire perception of how to actually make money and make your entire ticket price back in an hour at a con, and not paid at all. And
Mm.
so I have a real issue with this stuff, and nothing against anybody making money. Good on them, but there should be enough money for me too, and that's
Yes.
the problem.
You can't give 50,000 to someone and give the other person zero. Like
It's not. They're not giving 50,000, and I'll correct you. What they're doing is they're guaranteeing that. So the way a lot of this shit works is that an actor who's an actor and has worked his ass off. Don't get me wrong, but if you have, Chris Evans might be guaranteed $100,000 for being there for 3 days, and he sells his autograph for 120. Every
mm,
autograph counts against his guarantee. Is
oh
how a lot of
gotcha.
contracts are set up. Or you might be paid 20,000 plus a guarantee of 100,000. So every autograph he sells or every picture he sells is counting against that 100,000. So if he sells 150,000, the con doesn't pay him anything, but he gets to keep the 150,000, or they might have paid him 20,000 plus his hotel. But you could at least give me something. You could give
Yeah,
me
you at least pay for the $20 Uber.
You can give me a lunch stipend. You can give me some fucking respect. And that's my problem with cons right now is that, and when I bring this up to them, they don't do anything, and then they get pissed off. And I'm like, well, how do you think I'm supposed to feel? And you know what is the next time I ask, I'm going to go to a con. I'm going to say, can I speak to your director? And I'm going to just ask point blank, and I might film it. I'm going to say, how do you expect me to feel when I am working my ass off and it takes me 12 hours to build a panel? I got to get up on stage, talk for an hour, answer questions, be here, wait around for my panel. I mean, we're talking 14 to 15 hours. How would you feel if this, and all I'm asking for is a $20 lunch stipend? How would you feel? And I'm going to say this camera stays on because I think they need to answer those questions. I really do.
That and what that is people might go, oh well, Andrew, he's disrespecting them. It's like, no, what you're asking is to be respected as a creator and a human being, and yeah, it's like the lunch thing should be easy.
I'll tell another story. I was at a con where I asked to be a guest. It was a small con. They had a dog as a guest before me. That is a messed up entity. and also, I mean, it's whatever. But I don't want to bitch too much. But these are the fun conversations, and this is the whole thing, though. And I think this is so relevant talking about cons, where it's the idea is that these are the conversations that nobody fucking has in this entire industry. And, it's a problem. And I guess I've been doing panels for almost 10 years. I've done over 50 panels. And that's why I'm at this stage, too, where I'm just like, I paid a lot of dues. And I've also outperformed people who are getting paid. And that's the other thing, too, is that, I come up with good ideas and I come up with better ideas. And I just want a little piece of the pie. That's all I want. I'm not asking to get rich. I'm asking for a little bit of respect and a little bit of money so that I don't meet me halfway is where I'm at.
Yeah.
If going to a con costs me $500, if con said, we know we can't afford to pay you X amount, but we can at least help you reduce your costs and help you maybe fund your vacation a little bit, it goes a long way.
100%. 100%.
And I don't have anything to sell, but I can tell you this. If I do what I want to do and a con comes knocking, my number is 5 figures now. No question about it. Oh my fucking God. Especially when I get bigger. I mean, I'm not going to a con for free ever fucking again.
No, you shouldn't.
And I'm going to just say, cool, you want me? How much you paying? This is my rate. It's yes or no because I can go and sit in my house and legitimately look at the stock market and collect my dividends.
Mm-hmm.
And play video games.
And play video games, yeah, 100%. 100%.
But enough about me, because this conversation is getting boring. I promise. As much as I'm sure everybody's...
I'm never going to go Bubs, or whatever it's called.
You're going to do what?
I'm never going to go to... Is it called Shubs or Bubs? The con?
No, Blurred Con.
Blurred Con. Where was I getting Bubs?
It's a great idea. And it's a cool hotel. It's just I don't live in DC or in that area anymore, so I'm never going back. That's why I said it. I mean, if they said, Andrew, we want you to come, we want you to be guest of honor, I would show up. It'd be great. I would also piss off probably an entire community. I'm very honest about that too. But they would have to pay me a good amount of money to show up. No question about it.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, it gets to a point where you're like, I want to be paid for what I'm doing. That's kind of how I felt with the Patreon. I was like, listen, if I'm making this every week, I want to get paid some way somehow. With I don't really talk with creators anymore about like, hey, like how should I run my Kickstarter? Because I go, yeah, pay me $25 and let's talk for an hour. Otherwise, like I just don't have time for this, and time is money. So if you find my knowledge good enough, then you have $20 to kind of because the hour that I spend not talking to you, I'm not making my comic and I'm not spending time with my
Oh,
family.
I charge $50 for 2 hours of podcasting consulting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really an hour, but we go for two
Uh
because I'm
huh.
a nice guy.
But like it's taking away from what you'd probably rather be doing. You have all these other things. I mean, you're taking away from my video game playing time. So like,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, not you, not you. Like when other people are like, can I talk to you for an hour about Kickstarter? It's like,
I charge for it though, and I also record it,
and
and
send
you
it
know,
back, send it to them.
I send them a recording so they could play it back. But I'm gonna, if you were to come to me, and I'm very honest about this, and I don't know how you feel about it, but we're gonna talk for as long as we need to talk. To a degree. I'm not gonna spend 6 hours with somebody for $50, but spend an hour and a half with somebody who paid me $50 because that's what was needed as a consultation. And I'm not counting, and I'm not going to say, oh, you owe me another $25. That's not how I
No,
operate
no, no.
because I understand bringing value because they're going to probably hit me up again. Also, the person backed my Kickstarter, so it's a little bit different. I'm a little more generous. But
Yeah.
now I'm open where I'm like, hey, it's $50 for like an hour to an hour and a half consultation. And in 90 minutes, I'm going to give you the basics of how to run how to run a podcast. And we go through everything. So the point is, though, is that I'm now charging for because I have knowledge. I charge the exact same amount for comic book consultations.
Like, oh yeah, I agree. Like really, like I charge for those things now because it's just like my time. It's my time, and I had one creator. He paid $25, and we talked, yeah, for 2.5 hours. But it wasn't just talking. I literally sketched all 28 pages of his book. I sketched him out, and we went through his entire script, and I went, okay, this doesn't make sense. We rewrote the script, and I sketched out all 20 pages, and I gave it to him. And now he's not. He doesn't pay me anymore because he got what he needed. Now he sends me the pages of the finished art. He goes, I'm getting closer and closer. And now I try to use that going, listen, if you don't want to pay me $20, that's fine. This is what I did for this other person. We sketched out his whole book, and now he's making a comic book. What do you want to do? So it's a lot. I mean, but that goes back. I think this whole conversation has been about two things: monetizing yourself and having leverage. And a lot of creators have zero leverage of anything they do. If I need to come to you for something about business stuff, you've got leverage. And what leverage people means is like you have something I don't. You have knowledge about investing that I don't. You know about this space that I don't. So you should leverage that knowledge somehow, either by networking or monetizing.
It's very simple in which that I'm going to be very honest. I mean, I think that I can help so many people on Kickstarter. And the biggest problem I see is that, great, you fund a Kickstarter, you have $400 left. What do you do next with that $400? What do you do next, and what should you do next?
Buy myself a laptop, bro. I'm putting it in Dogecoin.
But it's this idea that also I see pricing and I see a lot of problems. And look, as I am not the world's greatest writer, but I also understand where there's a reason why if I'm building out a Kickstarter, I'm doing 204 different sets of $200 books at $30 a pop. So I've done the math on it, and I know exactly how much money I'm going to make. And there's a business decision first and foremost. And I think that's what people lack. And if somebody was to bring me in on a Kickstarter, not how to write or anything, but even how to price things out or what you need as a variant, I mean, I legitimately can fucking influence and change the way somebody thinks on a Kickstarter and help them set up a monetization and a better economic strategy so that they can actually pay themselves.
100%. 100%.
That is a business problem.
Well, that's what every creator, when it comes down to it, struggles is they don't run themselves like a business. They don't do a P&L. They don't look at their margins. They don't see what if I did this for this, I could get a better margin. They just, or there's just so much stuff that they don't think about.
And look, what is there are certain things that you can forego. So, for instance, I bought postcards for my Kickstarter. I bought them locally. Did it cost me $10 more locally? Yeah, but that was a good decision because it was local, and I want to support local business. That isn't the best business decision, but it's a good decision because it's
But you
temp.
also get them, but you also probably got them a little quicker, so you can fulfill faster. Um,
Yeah, I
maybe.
mean, but I just felt better supporting local business. In
There you
reality,
go.
it
I
was
want to
good.
say I would support my local business, but if you're Carol's Copy Center, if you're listening to this, Carol, update your printers, bruh. I know you're 80 years old, and I've been using you for 3 years, but our relationship is now over until you fix those freaking printers. Carol, she's a sweet old lady, but Carol's Copy Center is going out of business for a reason because she's not updating them printers. Sorry, Carol.
And you found a new printing company for your next book.
We
So
mix them using Andrew Davis for 5% off your first order.
hey, I don't get paid. I don't get a commission. I just get a flat fee from Mixum. And but as long as those people are using them, they're gonna keep using me and throwing me money. So
They paid a flat fee for one page read, but we've mentioned them like 5 or 6 times.
hey, it doesn't matter. It's one or as many as humanly
Yeah.
possible.
This was
You know,
the best episode.
I don't care because as long as I'm returning them business, they will continue to work with me. It's just good business because if I bring them money, why wouldn't they continue to work with me? So whoever uses them, it's great. I like Mixum. I'm going to be printing my book with Mixum when I get it off the ground, which is somewhat soon, but I can't talk too much about that. And I'll tell you off air what it is because you might appreciate it. And I might need your services, and I definitely use sketching out my entire book. And you're going to laugh off air when you figure out what you're going to have to sketch out. But I do want to give you a chance to self promote yourself because we've been talking for almost 2 hours.
Oh, dude, you're good. Okay, also promote. All right, guys, it's your boy Tyler, and you can find me on youtube.com/John Talk, where I post videos about opinions that you probably don't like, but I'm share them anyways. I'm telling you, Andrew, I'm gonna get a slew of hate mail on Saturday when a particular video pops up that I post. But yeah, no, I my show's about comic books and manga and talking about the industry. And then as well, I'm also an artist, a writer and artist, and I'm creating my own comic called The Girl with the Mega Fist, which is currently out on Kickstarter, or if you're watching this in the future, it's on Indiegogo. And if you're really watching this way far in the future, then it's on drawntalkcomics.com, maybe Amazon, who knows. And yeah, The Girl with the Mega Fist is a story of Eliana as she fights against fate, love, and destiny. And she's also training to become the ultimate hero on Earth while utilizing the powers of the Mega Gods, which channel through her Mega Fists. The book is the first volume is 200 pages, and we're selling it to you for $15. And I just think that is just a killer price, an affordable price, especially in today's comic book market. I spent $40 on a DC Comics book, and it was only like 80 pages, and it was Batman. So yeah, if you have $15, please support my book.
Yeah, and I'm going to just say this, and I've been saying it, and I'm going to continue to say it. You have to support indie. And what that means is that you have to back people's Kickstarters. So when somebody has a Kickstarter, obviously Tyler has a Kickstarter, you have to go back that campaign, whether you back it digitally or the physical. You know, it goes a long way because we're not DC, Marvel, Image, and every dollar goes into the book, goes into the next book, and it goes into that creator's pocket as well. And that helps everything because obviously when they get paid, they're motivated to produce more of that content. But I get it, money's tight. I live on a very fixed budget. I am purposely counting every dollar, where every dollar is going, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So I completely understand that when people don't have money, it happens. But if you're in that case and that situation, you could share it out. You could like it. You can follow. You can get on people's email lists. Tell a friend about the book, send it to them in Facebook, or just follow them on social media because that does matter. And it goes a long way. Or watch Tyler's videos on YouTube because that also helps, especially because his YouTube is monetized. And so every little watch helps and all that stuff. As far as I'm concerned about me, obviously use Mixum, 5%, Andrew Davis. in your first order if you're printing a book. Also, BCW Supplies is Pop Anime Comics, 10% off your entire order. I do have a shirt up on Redbubble. It's in the description above or below. You can buy my shirt. Also, my friends have an Identified out on Kickstarter, and that's a really cool book. 10% of their entire proceeds of what they do on Kickstarter and all sales are going to a veteran charity. So it's a very, very cool thing. So consider backing them or checking them out, what they're doing. It's a cool book. It's an interesting book, and it's got a vibe of cowboys versus aliens. So if you really like that movie, that's kind of their comic a little bit. But it goes a little bit more sophisticated, and they're building out a cool universe. And so on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Yeah, man, guys, remember to use Mixum, get 85% off your first order with Andrew Davis. No, final word. It's 5%, guys. Don't be stupid. My final word. Have a silly goose time. Make comics. Subscribe to Andrew. And Andrew, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, anytime, man. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know. And I believe that is a wrap, everybody.